Let's finish up 10-2, inductive reasoning and conjecturing. In class, we already went over the definitions, inductive reasoning and conjecture and counterexample. And we talked about an example of each. Inductive reasoning, looking at specific situations to arrive at a conjecture. A conjecture is an educated guess. And we looked at these numbers and we said, well, maybe all odd numbers are prime. The counterexample would be any example that shows that conjecture is false. So we need to see a number that is odd so it would fit this part of the sentence, but yet it's not prime. So we need to think of any number that could be odd but is not prime. And there are a lot of examples. The first example that comes to mind is the number 15. 15 is an odd number, but it's composite because you could have 3 times 5 or 15 times 1. It's not a prime number. So to be a counterexample or to prove that a statement is false, you only have to find one counterexample, and that proves the whole entire thing is false. So just watch this example with me. You do not have this in your notes. The sum of two positive numbers is positive. Okay, we have to see if that's true or if that's false. And if it's true, it has to be true in every single case. There has to be no possibility of it being false. So think about any two positive numbers that you know. A positive plus a positive. Is there ever a case where it's going to come out negative? Adding a positive plus another positive. No, it's always going to come out positive. So that case is true. For this one, two congruent angles, congruent means that they match, are complementary. In order to be true, it has to be true for every single case. So can you think of any two congruent angles, angles that are equal, but yet it's not true to say that they're complementary, that they add up to 90 degrees? And yes, there are lots of examples that proves that false. So I'm going to say false, and my counterexample will be if angle A is 50 degrees and one that's congruent to it, angle B, is also 50 degrees. These two angles are congruent, but when you add them up, you don't get 90. So they're not complementary. So I had to write false, and I had to come up with a counterexample. So this one is in your notes. Write it down with me. Determine if the statement or the conjecture here is true or false based on the given information. Explain and give a counterexample for any false conjecture. Given non-collinear points A, B, C, and D. So non-collinear just means they don't make a straight line. A, B, C, and D. Do they have to be on the same plane? I could put a D right here, and it could be on the same plane. Or I could imagine that there's a point D that's up off my screen, it's higher, or it's down below my screen. Let's put these three on a plane. And point D could be anywhere. Point D could be down below those points, and then the answer is false. So that's a counterexample. Sometimes a counterexample can just be a drawing, just like this. This proves that D does not have to fall on the same plane as A, B, and C. Given that A, B, C, and D are collinear points, meaning A, B, C, and D are all on the same straight line. The conjecture is that AB plus BC plus CD equals AD. So the question is that true 100% of the time? It seems like it would be. A, B, C, D. If you wrote it one way, A, B, C, and D, then it would seem to be true. AB plus BC plus CD equals the whole thing from A to D. But there's nothing here saying that they have to be written in order. What if you did this? A, B, D, C. Now it's not true. AB, this one right here, plus BD, plus CD, the green one. Those three added together is supposed to add up to AD. But if I draw AD, it's too short. Those three lines together don't make AD. So it's not true 100% of the time, it's only true some of the time, and in that case, we call it false. For this one, if A and B are right angles, then A is congruent to B. Well, that's true 100% of the time. Because what does it mean to be right angles? It means that they both equal 90 degrees. And there's no way in the world that two 90-degree angles don't equal each other. So that's true 100% of the time. If two angles are 90 degrees, then they equal each other as well. So look at the bottom part of the page. Is the conjecture true? If not, give a counterexample. So what this basically is saying is that the first part of your sentence says, if something is a triangle, then it has to have three sides. And in that case, it's true. All triangles have three sides. If it's true, you're done. You don't have to give a counterexample. So number 5, everybody likes pizza. If you're a person, then you like pizza. Is that true 100% of the time for everyone in the world? No, that's false. And all you need is one counterexample. If you have a friend named John who just doesn't like pizza, then that proves that not everybody in the world likes pizza. Number 6, even numbers are positive. Any even number that you can think of, it has to be positive. Is that true or false? Think of all the even numbers you know. And can you think of any negatives? I can. So that's false. For example, and you only have to give one counterexample. For example, -2. -2 is an even number, but it is not positive. So we're looking for things that fit the first part of the sentence, but make the second part false. That's what a counterexample does. All students have 7 periods. Every person in the school has class 7 periods throughout the day. That's false. A lot of students only have 5 periods. Some students have 7 periods, the ones that start with 0 period, and then they have classes all the way through 6th period. For those students, it's true, but for a lot of students, they don't have 7 periods. So it's false, and all you need is one counterexample. For example, if you have a friend named Alicia, and she only has 1st through 6th period of classes, then she doesn't have 7 periods. The last one, an obtuse angle is 132 degrees. What that's asking you is it true that if something is at an obtuse angle, then it will always be 132 degrees? Is that true for every single obtuse angle that you can think of? The answer is no. There are a lot of obtuse angles that don't equal 132. For one counterexample, I could say 150 degrees. That is an angle that is obtuse, but is not 132 degrees. So you're looking for things that are true for the first part of the sentence and false for the second part of the sentence. And we're going to study that more tomorrow in class.